My name is Stacy Rose. I'm with ISN, and I lead a lot of the teams that you probably work with pretty often. I work with our technical support teams and the great training team that we have, and our sales team. And I'm super excited to share more about our new product here with Guardian Financial. Many of you probably know that Guardian Financial has been ISN's preferred payment processor for about 15 years. Most of you probably know Ben and Aaron, who are the founders of Guardian. They are the nicest people I've ever met in my whole life. And I actually just got a comment in chat that's like, Ben and Aaron are awesome. They're always so helpful. So I'm super excited to introduce them here. And I'm gonna pass it over to Aaron, and he'll give you an introduction.
Well, thanks, Stacey. That's really nice. It's been such a fun experience to work so closely with ISN over the last decade or two. Just love everybody at ISN and great company. So for those of you who don't know myself and Ben, so we founded Guardian Financial back in 2000. So we've been doing this for 21 years together. But for the last over 15 years, we've worked exclusively with home inspectors. So literally 100% of our business is with home inspectors. Ben and I both have 5 kids. We live here in Idaho. We have been to, and I'm not exaggerating, hundreds of home inspection conferences over the years. So I'm sure if you've been to any of the national or even a lot of the state home inspection conferences, you've probably seen us there. And we've helped thousands of home inspectors with their credit card processing. And we're really excited for this opportunity. I think this pay at close feature that we're going to talk about is the coolest, biggest thing we've ever done with ISN, but also just as Guardian. So that's a little bit about ourselves. I'll go ahead and pass it back over to Stacy.
Yeah, so here's probably a lot of familiar faces. Some of you may be on the call in the industry. These are a lot of owners of some of the most successful inspection companies, in the community. And ISN has what we call our advisory council. And so this is the group, and this group helps us and advises us on product rollouts and feedback. And so usually whenever we have ideas, we take it here first, and they poke holes in it and do what inspectors are great at doing, and finding what's wrong and giving feedback. And so the presentation that we're going to share with you today, we've actually ran by this group a couple of weeks ago, and got a lot of great feedback. At the beginning of our presentation, about 30% of our advisory council said that they offer pay at close as a service to their clients and agents today. And by the end of the presentation, after we shared kind of our plans and how we're thinking about it, 100% of them said, sign me up. When is it time? I'm all in. And so the product we're going to share with you won't be ready until September, but we're giving you a sneak peek. We're super excited. And we also would love your feedback. And so it's certainly not at an end state. And so there's a lot of people on this call, so the engagement will be a tad bit difficult. So, and everybody is muted, but you are welcome to utilize the chat, ask questions, give feedback as we go. And then we also have some polls and questions that we're going to utilize on the webinar. So those will pop up on your screen, and we encourage you to participate in those. And if you have a question that's relevant to what we're discussing on a specific slide, throw it in that chat, and I'll keep my eyes on there. Otherwise, save it to the end. We've got a whole section for just open Q&A. So I think that pretty much covers it, and I'll pass it back to Aaron, and we'll get going.
Yeah, so we did have a really good meeting with those guys, and I'm sure you guys recognize a lot of those faces, but they are the biggest ones in the industry, and we wanted to run it by them first. And now it's your opportunity to see what we have. But a little bit of background on where we came, or how we came to be here with this pay at close. Like I said, we've been doing this for a long time, and over the last 20 years, as we've been working with home inspectors, there's really been 3 questions that we get over and over and over as we help them with their credit card processing. Do you have a credit card reader that works with ISN? Can we get paid via eCheck or ACH? And then the third one that we got asked all the time is, can you automate the pay at close process? We're going to focus on number 3, but we're excited to share that we do have answers for all of those now. ISN's in the process of building a native app, And when that's done, we'll be able to have a card reader, which will save you some money because you can get the swiped rates. We also are close to having an e-check option within ISN that you can ask us about. But the big one is this pay at close process. So for those of you who, there's probably about, if I had to guess, about 30% of you who are currently offering pay at close and probably 70% of you who aren't. So just a little bit of an overview of what it is we're talking about here is basically is instead of getting paid at the time of the inspection or before the inspection like you do right now, pay at close is offering them the ability to pay for their home inspection when they sit down to close on the house. The title company would add that to the closing document and then send out a check. Historically, there's been some benefits to the customer mostly for pay at close. Big one is sometimes if you do pay at close, the buyers can pass their closing costs on to the seller and make the seller, that's sometimes part of the agreement. And if the home inspection is part of those closing costs, then maybe they can get the seller to pay for that home inspection as part of the closing costs. There's also the ability for, it helps buyers who are worried about cash. Obviously, they're about to make a big purchase. They want to try and keep that cash in their pocket. Really, the only benefit for the home inspector, and the only reason we've ever heard home inspectors who are doing it, is because their client wants it. The real estate agent wants it. It helps them stand out from their competitors in the market, so they offer it, but they hate it. And the reason they hate it is these drawbacks. The biggest one that we found is you don't get your money right now. It can take a month, it can take 2 months, and you may never get your money if you go to pay at close. There's a ton of complexity, a ton of paperwork. You're invoicing different title companies who all have different procedures. You're dealing with agents now trying to put that stuff on the closing doc. It's just a real hassle. And then sometimes the deal falls through and the house doesn't close, and then what do you do? So historically, the drawbacks far outweigh the benefits. What we're trying to do is change that. So here's our first poll here. We want to just ask you this. I'm going to launch this poll. But do you currently offer the option for your customers to pay for their home inspection at closing? So you guys should see that poll pop up on your screen. We'll give you, I'm going to watch here, and once we see about 100 responses, we're getting close. So if everybody finishes that poll, give you a couple more seconds. Great. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and share those results. So I was a little bit off, so about 33% of you, or 39%, sorry, 39% of you are currently offering pay at close as an option. That's a little higher than our original survey. We actually sent a survey out to home inspectors months and months ago because we wanted to see if we're on the right track with solving some of your pain points. And that survey was 26%. The interesting thing is, out of those 26% who said, yep, I do offer pay at close to my customers, look at this, 61% of them said they only offer it to 25% or less. So only, less than 1 out of 4. So even though 25% of them do offer it, they don't offer it very much. Only, if you look down here, 6 people out of that group said that they offer it more than 75% of the time, which means we had basically 100 people fill out the survey. So about 6 out of 100 were offering it more than 75% of the time. So even on the people who use it, they didn't use it very often. So let's see how this one goes. I got another poll here. What is the #1 reason you don't offer pay it close to your customers? Go ahead and take a minute and fill that out. Got a few more coming in here. Interesting. All right, I'm going to go ahead and end it. So if you haven't answered now. There we go. So looking at that, looks like the number one reason here with this group is dealing with invoicing various title companies, or no, collections was the number one. Dealing with collections, then delay in funding, and dealing with different title companies. So go ahead and stop sharing that. So kind of a similar, so delay in funding was right up there, and then collecting the funds was actually lower. So you guys, that was a bigger deal for this group right here. But this is what we found when we surveyed inspectors, where these were the primary pain points. I'd be curious if anybody has any other pain points or stuff that you've dealt with in the past. Feel free to put them in. And I see somebody saying all of those.
All of it, yeah.
And that really is it, right? I mean, it's just such a pain in the neck. In every way, it's a pain in the neck. So, but if there's any other pain points that you guys have found as you're dealing with pay at close, we'd love to see those in the chat. So this was an interesting one here. What percentage of pay at close transactions do not get paid out through escrow? And right here, you can see that the majority of them were saying, so 57% said less than 10%, 28% said never. So a lot of them were saying the collection process, they usually get paid. It's not necessarily the fact that you're not getting your money. It's that it's just such a hassle. So here's, just wanted to share some of those with you. And now I want to find out if we were able to completely automate the pay at close process within ISN, would you offer it to your customers? Let me go ahead and share that poll.
Okay. Can you guys still hear me okay?
Yeah.
Wouldn't you know it, my headset's beeping at me that it's about ready to die. So right in the middle of this. So I'm going to end this poll. Well, that's interesting. So 81% of you said that, or 81 out of 86. So 94%. Interesting. So one of the, as we did this poll to inspectors, just another group, and this was just an email poll. We didn't really give any context to these guys about what was going on, but 73% said that they would offer it to, but only to less than 25% of their customers. So it would still be something where, you know, they may be more willing to offer it, but still kind of use it as a last resort. So the question we really want to ask is if we could automate the process, like I said in the last one, but then completely eliminate the funding delay so that you get paid up front. And if we took care of the entire collection process from start to finish, at that point, would you be willing to offer pay at close to your customers? So let me launch that poll. Looking good. Oh, we got one that said no. So we're going to pick on the one that said no, and we want to find out why. I hope that's okay. But feel free in the chat. We'd love to know why not. But let me share these results here. 98%. So 79 out of 81. We actually had 2 people who said no, which is fine. And we would love to chat with you and see what the reasoning is. But let me share with you. I'm going to go ahead and skip this. I'm going to go straight to the meat of this, how we can maybe solve some of these pain points. So this is what we're looking at doing. First of all, we would go into your ISN and we would add pay at close as an ancillary service. Okay, so like right now you may be offering radon or termite or, you know, who knows what type of ancillary services. So pay at close would be an additional service that your clients could choose. Certainly wouldn't force anybody to do this. Our fee would be $75. you can charge whatever we want. In fact, we have one of our beta testers who's charging $120 for every pay at close. He figures if he's going to deal with it and offer this as a service, he might as well make some money off of it. Our fee would be $75. So for example, if you were normally charging $400 for your home inspection, you add this as an ancillary service, your customer upon checkout is going to get an email that says, click here to pay with a credit card. And then here's a click here if you want to defer your payment to closing. There's a $75 fee. There'll be some verbiage there that'll let them know if they do that, they pay $75. So they can choose that option right there. They'll know right up front that they're going to pay $75 to do that. If you want to charge $100 or whatever you want, that's fine. You would make that additional margin, the difference from 75 and to whatever you charged. ISN is going to keep track of all those pay at close inspections. So you'd have the same type of reporting that you have with all your other ancillary services. You could pull a report at any time and see how many of your customers are opting into pay at close and what the fees were. And then ISN is going to take that data. When the customer chooses pay at close, it's going to pull up a pay at close agreement. And really the agreement's simple. It basically is going to, there's three things that we want to see in that agreement. We want to see the title company information. We want to see a credit card number, expiration date, and CVC code. And we want to see their signature. Now, we're not billing their credit card anything. And it's going to say that very clearly in the agreement that the credit card is a backup only. So we're going to give them 60 days for their closing or title company or escrow company to remit payment to us. And if we don't have it within 60 days, then we would use their credit card to pay for their home inspection. And obviously there'd be communication around that process. And I see the question there that most buyers don't know the title company when they're booking the inspection, and that's a great call out. When they're going to have time to get that. So obviously they're going to know right up front, they're going to get that option to pay at close. They're going to see what the agreement is. We're going to let them know right up front, here's the information we're going to need to have in order for you to do pay at close. And then they'd have time to go get that. This is most likely, this is going to happen when you're booking the inspection. You're going to ask them how they want to pay, with a credit card, or do you want to pay at closing? If they say pay at closing, then you're going to get that relevant information up front. If they don't have it, you just need to get it by the end of the inspection. ISN will have that, just like right now that ISN locks the report until they've paid for it. This is going to be to a point where the pay at close will be integrated. So if we don't have that pay at close contract, the report will be locked. If they want to unlock it, they just need to fill in their title company information, credit card, and signature, and then it unlocks the report. But what
And Aaron, one other point, I believe you showed me that.
So here's the
title
exciting
company-
part. This is what really sets this whole program apart. As soon as we have those three pieces of information, the title company, the credit card, and the signature, it's done. As far as you're concerned, that's a paid inspection. You're going to get paid within 2 business days of the inspection being completed. Right?
Hey, Aaron, can you hear me?
100%. You mark it as paid. You're done with it. You forget about it. And then the report, like I said, the report is unlocked, just like when they pay with a credit card. They can view the report. Everything happens, and it's completely on us. You don't have to collect. You have no receivables. At that point, Guardian will handle the entire invoicing process. We'll deal with the title company. We will take on all the liability for non-payment. If for some reason the deal falls through and they never go to closing, it's on us to get that money. So you can forget about it. You get paid up front.
So
Hey, Aaron, can you hear me?
So I'm going to see, Stacy, is there any questions?
Yeah, so one comment I was going to make was, I
Sorry, my
believe-
headset. Just 1 second.
Yep. So a couple of questions that have been asked are: is the $75 going to be
Ben, you may need
collected
to
at
answer
the
these
time of
questions.
closing? The answer to that is yes. So you, the home inspector, will be funded right up front as soon as we have a signed contract and all of the title information. Then we're going to fund you 100% of the inspection amount, and then we're collecting the inspection amount plus the $75 from title.
I think you got it figured out there.
The comment I was going to make was that similarly to when you're inputting an agent or a client, it's now saved in your ISN. The same will be true for the title company. So you type it in one time. If your client is using that same title company, or you have many agents that use a similar one, you type that in it and can autofill auto populate that information for you.
Thanks, Stacey. Sorry about that, guys. For some reason, my audio was out, so I couldn't hear anything. But we're back. So,
Okay.
What did I miss?
Let's see. We were just talking through getting. There's quite a few questions about just getting that information and when's the easiest time going to be to get that information.
Yep, and to answer the questions about the reports being available, so we understand that report being quickly available is super important, and so all we need is a signed agreement, which is being asked for right up front when they're agreeing to pay at close, and then some kind of title information. So if they don't have the exact title information, then that's all something that we can gather after the fact, but we understand that that's super time sensitive, but those are going to be the two pieces of information that we're asking for the report to be unlocked. Those are going to be some settings that you'll be able to control within your ISN also.
Yep, and also another thing to keep in mind is at any point the customer can back out of the pay close. Like if they decide, you know what, this is a hassle or whatever, they're still going to have that credit card option right there. They can just click on the credit card, pay for it, and go that route. So they're certainly not locked into that at any time or point. So
there's a question here: if the payment is not made by the customer within 60 days, do we make contact with the client prior to charging the card on file?
Yep. So there will be an automated communication process. Obviously, this is still in beta, so we don't know what the perfect way to do that is, but there will definitely be communication. And we're going to have the closing date, so that's part of the information you're putting in there. So we're going to know when the closing date is. We're going to know when we should expect to see the check from the title company, and if we don't see it, we're going to start reaching out. There'll be an automated communication process where we'll let them know, hey, that we didn't get a check from your closing. Did the date get pushed out? Is there a new closing date? If not, and the deal fell through, then we'll let them know that we're going to need to bill their credit card and make sure that they're well aware of that. We know that these are your customers, and we're very aware that if this is a negative experience for your customers, then you're not going to want to offer this product. And so we're going to do everything we can to make sure it's a positive experience for both you and for your customers.
To clarify, for the payment to the inspection company, so if you charge $400 for that home inspection, there would be a $75 fee on top of that for the pay at close option. So $475 is what's being billed to your customer in essence through closing. So that's what's going to the title company is $475. We would then be funding you the $400 for the inspection and collecting the $475 from title.
Okay, there's a bunch of questions pouring in here. So Ben, you want to read some of them out loud and go through them?
Yeah. So if the customer challenges the credit card backup payment, will Guardian hold the risk? Yes. As soon as we have that information up front, we have the pay at close contract with the credit card information for the backup and the title company, it is 100% on us. We take on all liability, not just if the deal falls through and they don't go to closing, but if the credit card's a bum card and we can't get it, it's on us. At that point, you have no liability. Once we get that contract, approve the payment and send you the funds, you're done. You can just forget about it.
Will they be required to deliver the reports through ISN?
That's a good question, and I don't believe so. The only issue we have is we need some sort of trigger that lets us know that the inspection's completed, and typically that is uploading the report and sending the report to the customer. So I know there's a manual way that you can go into ISN and mark that it's a completed inspection, which would then trigger some of the automated notifications. So that we haven't been asked this question, and I haven't really thought through it, but my initial thought is that there wouldn't be any reason why that inspection would have to be sent through ISN.
It would just take manually triggering on the inspector's end, so that we would know.
So Nathan has a great question on how do we collect if it's a bad credit card. So we know we're going to have to take a soft hand here. We don't know what the end product is going to look like, to be honest. As far as the collections side of this, obviously the first thing we're going to do is we're going to call the customer and say, hey, you signed an agreement that you would pay at closing. It didn't go through. We didn't get it from closing. You agreed that if we couldn't get it from closing, that you would let us bill your credit card. Your credit card isn't good, so we need another form of payment. That's the first step. We don't know how far we're going to take it. We certainly don't want to get to the point where we become, Guido with busted kneecaps to collect on your customers. Again, we don't want it to be a bad experience, but at the same point, we can't allow people to take advantage of the system. So I guess if I had to, right now to answer, I don't know. I don't know what the end result's going to look like as far as collections.
So Aaron, I'll start with the oldest question. I'm just going to go down because there's a bunch of new ones. So Mary's curious if you can clarify what happens if the client doesn't know their title company or they change their title company. Then will the inspector get a credit card deposit or it says then we get a credit card deposit into our account? ?
So we're gonna get that contract up front. If they don't have that title information, and this has happened, so we've got our beta testers right now running it, and we've had several of them come through with no title information. Right now, what we're doing is we're just emailing the inspector saying, hey, this contract came through and the title information was blank. Eventually, ISN, and by the time we roll this out, ISN is going to recognize that that title information is blank, and it's going to send an automated reminder to the customer, hey, you opted to do pay at close. We need your credit. We got this information, we got your signature, but we don't have your title. And ISN is going to remind them that we need their title information in order to complete the pay at close process. If their title company changes, that's on us, right? At that point, we've got to try and figure out who their new title company is. We're going to be sending an invoice to a title company that's on the contract. If that title company says, we don't know who you're talking about, then we're going to have to reach out to the customer and ask them who their new title company is. But that's the beauty of this product, is that you don't have to deal with it. That's normally stuff you'd have to hassle with, but we'll deal with that at that point. You've already been paid.
Can you please clarify when the report gets released? Is it after the agreement is complete and the inspection, or after the payment is dispersed?
When the inspection report is released?
Can you clarify when the inspector will get paid?
Okay, it's going to be when the, good question. So when the inspection is completed. So when ISN marks that inspection is completed, which I think is when the report is uploaded and sent, it marks that as a completed inspection. So we're going to be paying your automatically ACHing into your account every Tuesdays and Thursdays is when we're going to send funds out. So if that report gets released on Monday, you're going to get paid the next day. If it gets released on Tuesday, then you'd get paid on the next Thursday. So every Tuesdays and Thursdays, we're going to be sending funds out.
Great. There's a couple of questions regarding the $75 fee. They're asking, is it a flat fee? Is it dependent on the price of the inspection? It is a flat $75. And yes, you can change. Somebody said, if I wanted to change and charge a different amount to my customer, how do I do that? Change the setting on ISN? Question, yes. Just like any other ancillary service, you can go change the price to whatever you want to charge, and Guardian Financial will pull the $75. That's the cost.
And actually, you could change it to $0 if you wanted, right? We're going to have inspectors who build this into the cost of their inspection. We've already had some that have told us that they're just going to increase their inspection fee by a certain amount and have this as a service that's included automatically in every inspection. And so if you don't want to charge your customer anything and you just want to increase the price of your inspection, you could charge $0. We are going to charge you $75 for every inspection that goes through this process. What you charge is up to you, and how you pass that on to your customer is up to you.
There are some benefits, like it's now considered in essence a cash payment. So now you wouldn't have a credit card processing fee. So that lowers your overall expense on that inspection. So if you were to charge less than the $75, you've made up a little bit of that.
Great. James, your math example is correct. There's another question that says, if you pay out 2 days after the inspection, then do we have to send the report to the client without it showing paid?
That's a good question, and I'm not sure how that's going to look within ISN. Right now, like when you do a credit card, some of you may have the setting in your ISN that authorizes the card when they pay, but it doesn't actually bill the card until after the inspection. But even though it's only authorized, it still shows up as green, right? That it's been paid, even though the money's not in your bank account. We're going to have a system that's going to be similar to that. So when the customer chooses pay at close and we approve that contract, then it's going to show as authorized or some other feature similar to that, where you can know that it's a done deal. And then, when you get your funding, you can go in and you can mark it as, finished paid, or we're not sure exactly. Part of what we're doing in the beta test is figuring out the best way to make that payment flow through so that it shows as paid when it's supposed to be paid. But
Great.
no, as far as the customer is concerned, to answer your original question, the customer is going to see that it's been paid.
Drew's curious how this works for pre-listing inspections.
That's a good question, Drew. I'm trying to think if it would work any differently. So you're going to get a pre-listing inspection. I'm going to have to think that through. That's a great question, Drew. I'll make a note here to see how that would work with pre-listing inspections.
What about VA termite inspections? These get paid at closing by the seller. Any options for that?
Yeah, I actually talked to an inspector today that does a ton of VA termite inspections, and she does them as standalone inspections. And so she charges $75 for a standalone termite inspection. Right now, I don't think this is going to be a solution that's going to work for that, because a $75 fee on a $75 termite inspection probably doesn't make a lot of sense. So as far as those ancillary services, if you're doing them as standalone inspections, this may not be a good tool for it yet, until we can come up with a solution for smaller volume inspections that are under $100.
There's a question here from Libby. Can we get the title company info from the realtor and add it for the buyer?
Yes, that's what we would hope that's going to happen. Make it easier on your buyer. That's what's happening with most of our beta testers right now, is they're trying to get that information. They're getting it from the agent, and they're getting it from the customer. When the customer doesn't know, then the inspector's reaching out to the agent to see if they can get it directly from the agent.
Great. Will the convenience fee be charged on the inspection items or on everything including the closing fees?
So if you're talking about like the surcharge for using a credit card, there wouldn't be any, because you're not running this on a credit card. That's one of the benefits of this. If, let's say, the closing falls through and we have to run their credit card for the inspection, we're not running it on your merchant account. So you wouldn't have any credit card processing fees. The collection process is entirely up to us. And so we would be using our merchant account, running their credit card on our merchant account and billing their card. So we would be the ones that would be paying those fees, not you. So you wouldn't have to worry about the surcharge or the convenience fees.
This is a good question. They all are. Can the 60-day period be modified? We have contracts delaying 90 days given the appraisal or FHA, VA, USDA in our small rural area. 90 days is more realistic.
That is a really good question, and I'll be honest, I don't know the answer. So obviously, the farther out that we push our ability to collect, the more difficult it is to, you guys know that, right? To actually collect on it. But at the same point, we know that there's that reality in some areas of the country where closing isn't happening in 2 weeks. Like in Idaho right now, it's happening overnight, right? But so I don't know what the answer is. My gut says we would like to work with everybody to make a solution that will work for you. And if that's what we need to do, we'll probably find a way to make that work.
We have a process in place for pushing closing out. So when it's extended at this point, so to make some modifications for a longer time period is probably something that we can do.
Yeah, that's a good point. So when that time period elapses, let's say they say their closing is, whatever, September 1st. And so we would anticipate that we have a check within at least a week of that. If we don't have that check, we reach out to the customer. If the customer at that point tells us that, hey, we extended the closing date, we're going to just go ahead and move that date back as long as they let us know and they're communicating with us when the new closing is. So I would think that would be the initial answer is, if it's more than 60 days, that in that individual case, we'll take the closing date and expect a check within a week of that closing date, even if it is 80 days out or whatever.
Great. Okay, the questions are rolling in. We have about 35 right now in the queue. Do we have to use Guardian for all credit card payments? And I'm assuming we need to move our credit card processing over to Guardian. Is that right? There's a couple of different questions around that.
Yeah, that is, yes. And this is going to be, because all of this stuff that's working on the back end is working with a specific API. So it's called it's the CardPoint API. And that's what's storing that credit card data securely. And that's the biggest build on this. This is a really heavy lift for the engineering team to build this product out. And one of the biggest parts of this is securely storing credit card data. And so we're not going to be able to use a whole bunch of different credit card processors out there, because there's a lot of engineering involved in order to store this data and all this reporting, and it has to work on a specific gateway. So in order to use this product, you'd need to sign up with Guardian Financial. Hopefully that's a good thing. We've got a guarantee that we'll save you money on whatever you're paying. So if you move over to us, we can offer any services that you're getting currently, and we can do it for cheaper.
Great. We currently ask pay at close clients to put a credit card on hold before we release the report. Can clients secure their credit card info through Guardian, even if they don't know the title company at that time?
Yep.
Yep.
And that is part of the process. Is it's going to ask for that information. They can, if they don't have the title, it'll still allow them to sign the agreement and enter their credit card information. We get a token that tells us that credit card is good, and then we can work on getting the title information later.
Great. There's a clarification question here. Based on a Tuesday, Thursday, any inspection completed on a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday would be paid on Tuesday, correct? So there's a slight delay in funding.
That's correct. Yeah.
Great. Have you checked in all states if they will put inspection costs on closing? Several years ago, this inspector tried pay at close, and part of the problem was closers didn't, they didn't want to do this because they would need to disclose the inspection report to the underwriter.
That's a good question. Every state has different laws, and we are currently researching the different laws. Like Texas and New York both have laws that don't allow home inspectors, or don't allow the inspection fee to be held up by anything around closing. So they're trying to eliminate any sort of bias or incentive for that inspection to go through for sure, or that closing to go through. We think we're okay with those, and we've talked to several people about this. In this situation, the home inspector is still getting paid up front. It's not dependent on closing. So whether or not that home closes, the inspector is getting paid, and so it's not violating those rules. But as far as your question, are we looking at individual states? We are. We're trying to make sure that we're compliant with each state. But at the same point, you know, there could easily be something that we miss. So we'd really appreciate any feedback in your specific state. If you think there's something that may not work, or something that we need to do specifically for your state, we'd love to hear that information so that we can make sure it works everywhere.
Awesome. How does this work for a client who already owns the home and they just want to get it inspected for their own peace of mind?
Probably wouldn't. There's no closing date at that point.
Sure.
You would probably want to just get paid out with credit card or cash or check.
If a client terminates their contract after the inspection, but orders another inspection and wants to pay at close, will there be some way to transfer the fee?
Man, these are getting hard.
If it was canceled before closing, it would just be a new pay at close transaction. And
But on the original transaction that was a pay at close, that one cancels, then they book a new inspection. We would probably need to bill them on their credit card for the first inspection, because there was no closing date. I don't know that the title company would allow us to put the inspection fee for a different house onto the closing doc, but maybe, and that's a good question, and I don't know for sure the answer. If there's a way that we can put both inspections on one closing, I don't see why we wouldn't do that. I just don't know if that's going to be possible.
Great. Do credit cards fees stay the same? And does the inspector get charged a credit card fee for the $75? I think you already
Nope.
answered that one. Nope.
Yeah,
no fee, no
this won't
credit
affect your credit card fees at all. And it just saves you money because now you're not going to be running that inspection on your merchant account, which means you don't have any fees on that inspection. Those credit card fees are going to get pushed over to us.
Got it. Lots of questions about when will this be available?
Yeah, so we've got 7 beta testers right now using it, and we're learning as fast as we can all of the different things that we need to have. We've got our engineering team ISN's engineering team who is frantically building this out, and they're doing a great job. We think that it's going to be ready sometime mid-September.
Great. Does an inspector have to use Guardian for all of their other payments in ISN in order to have access to this product?
No, I don't know why you would want 2 merchant accounts. I'd be interested to know if there's a good reason for having one merchant account for other stuff and one merchant account for pay at close.
But just to clarify, currently the API you wouldn't be able to turn on 2 credit card processing.
That's true.
The API, only one API will function at a time. So today, unless you can convince ISN to do dev work, it would require all payments going through Guardian.
But we'd love to talk to you. Obviously, there's a reason that you want to keep that other merchant account. Maybe it's ACH, maybe it's surcharging, who knows what that is. But we'd love to talk to you about that and show you what we have. And I'd be willing to bet that at the end of the conversation, you'd agree with us that it probably doesn't make sense to have 2 merchant accounts.
Are there any yearly fees to Guardian for the service?
Nope, and I can see another question right there on what are Guardian's fees. So the first question, no, there's no fees. You only pay for this when you use it. It's $75 per pay at close inspection that you run through the system. As far as
Great.
Guardian's fees, we've got no monthly fees whatsoever. So if you don't use it, you don't pay anything. Our rates, we have a rate guarantee. So we promise that if you come show us what you're paying, we'll go lower. We do have default rates that we offer to everybody. I don't want this to turn into a credit card processing pitch, but we're very, very confident that we can save you money on your current processing and give you so much more integration within ISN that you don't have otherwise.
Cool. There's a couple of questions that I can actually answer. This is what do we need to do to sign up? Everybody on the webinar, we're going to assume you're interested. And if you're not, that's okay. You can disregard our
Except for
email
2.
follow-ups. Yeah, 2 of you are not, and that's okay. But we will send an email when we're ready and what the onboarding looks like, and we'll do some customizations to your ISN when you give us the go ahead. So we will proactively reach out to you and say, all right, it's ready. Here's what to do if you'd like to move forward. And then someone that came in late, is there a selection to choose pay at close on a case-by-case basis? Yep, just like your other ancillary services, you can do it on a per order port. This question says, on the VA loans that we bill the WDI to closing, they request the invoice for the WDI. Those orders stay and show not paid until we receive the check from the title company. With it showing paid, how will that affect you guys when you're trying to collect? Will they decline it because it's showing paid, or is there another way to send without the invoice showing paid?
You might have to take that one offline.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the answer is to that. And there was a lot of terminology in there I'm not familiar with. And
Yeah.
so I'd hate to say something that's not
Yeah.
true.
If you have a slide, maybe jump to it. Otherwise, maybe you and Ben could shoot your contact info in the chat so that if there are these one-on-one follow-up.
That's it. So the rest of this, we just wanted to give you guys time to ask questions. So we're doing it. So
Yeah, let's keep cranking because there's 48 still in here.
Okay.
I'm assuming this is just an option to our clients, such as paying at the time of inspection by check and cash. That's right.
Yep.
How will these fees appear on the Guardian dashboard? Will we use ISN or Guardian for both for reconciliation?
So there would be no fees for reconciliation in this process to you. So this would be like a cash transaction as far as you're concerned on the home inspector side. So, but the dashboard would be separate from your credit card processing. I mean, we will be sending a very similar batch report for your funding. So you would see a funding report that says you did 3 pay at close transactions, each were $400. So we're depositing $1,200 into your bank account. But you would not generate any fees to you. All of that's being collected from title.
And we would love to get feedback on this. This is part of the reason we're doing beta test, and part of the reason we wanted to do this webinar is we want to know how you would like to see it happen. How do you want to see that it's paid or approved, and how do you want to see that it's been batched from the title company and that you've got the money in your bank account? How much communication do you really want to have after it's been approved? Do you really care now that it's on our plate, or would you like to have communication throughout our process so that you know what's going on? And so part of this is we'd really appreciate feedback. Feel free. I'll put our contact information, or Ben, if you want to put our contact information on there in the chat, feel free to email us and let us know any suggestions you have on how you'd like to see this work.
Great. Someone here that uses Guardian currently, they're just confirming there's not too many changes that they would have to do. That's right. We would just get you onboarded to this new program when we're ready. And then there's a few technical changes that would need to be made to your ISN account, which the ISN tech support team will do when it's ready, and assuming you want to move forward. Most customers pay, 75% of this inspector's customers pay with ACH. When will that be available?
Question, it should be available in the next couple of weeks. We're going to have an ACH option, so it's coming.
Great. So look for an announcement. We could probably send that out through ISN to let you know. How does this work for inspectors in Canada with the currency exchange, especially?
So we do have one beta tester in Canada. We're waiting to get our first one from him, so we don't have an answer for that yet. But we don't see any reason why we wouldn't be able to offer this in Canada. We're going to invoice a title company in Canada in Canadian dollars. And I would imagine that we'll be depositing that in Canadian dollars into your bank account. I don't see why it would be any different. We'll just do it all in Canadian dollars.
Great. One question is, does this action stop Porch from contacting a client? So this product has nothing to do with Porch. If you happen to use Porch, and your client wants the services they offer, they would be contacted. If you don't use Porch, then this has nothing to do with it, and these clients would never be contacted by Porch. It's a totally different product and service. What are the Guardian fees?
Yep. So I think that was one I answered a little earlier.
Oh, you answered that. Cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like this question. When is the Guardian IPO? If my inspection fee is $400, by clicking the pay at close option, that fee becomes $475. The client's basically paying the fee. It's not being taken out of my $400. That's right, Dave. You got that. Okay. With your credit card services, do you have remote swipers? Oh, you answered that. Thanks, Ben. Yep, we do. Here in Texas, paying for the inspection. Oh, the person paying for the inspection owns the report. Since Guardian will pay the inspection fee with the name on, would the name on the report have to change to Guardian, or will we be able to list the client's name? Good question.
That's a great question. We'll have to.
Well, Guardian, yeah, I don't know, because it's still the customer that's paying for the report, right? We're funding you up front, but we're not paying for that report. We're giving you some money up front, and then the customer's paying us for the report. So I don't see that would change. It's still the customer paying for this inspection on top of additional $75 for a service that allows them to pay for that inspection at closing.
Yep. Somebody wants to know who's in the beta test. If you can share. One person that most people do know and is very active with ISN is Michelle Shishilla with Honor Services, and she's been a huge help testing and giving feedback, and most people know her, and she's in the ISN user groups on Facebook. But if you need to be connected with anybody, you can reach out to Ben and Aaron specifically, and they can help you with that. If they choose to pay at closing and then pay, then the $75 fee is waived. So if they change their mind basically and decide to pay with the card, yep, that's right. Somebody wants to know if they can be a beta tester. Maybe just email Ben.
Email us. I don't think that's closed off. We're not. My only suggestion would be if you're a large inspection company, there's still some hiccups here, and I wouldn't want you to have a whole bunch of inspections go through this and create
Mhm.
more headache for you.
It's a manual process right now.
Right now, it's a manual process on our end. On your side, a lot of it's automated, but for us, we're not ready for a ton of volume. And I don't want anybody to have a bad experience. If it's something where you feel like, you know what, I probably 5 to 10 pay at close inspections a month, we would love to have more beta testers with that type of volume. We're just not ready for the, tens of thousands of pay at close inspections every month.
If the transaction falls through, the customer doesn't get the house and they end up paying with their credit card, do they pay $475 or $400?
They pay $475. Yep. And that's what their invoice. So when they get that initial email from ISN, it allows them to click on the link to pay, and they choose to offer pay at close. It shows 75. Everything after that, the invoices that they get, the contract that they signed will have that $75 pay at close fee in there. So they'll be very aware that they're paying $75 for that service, even though they didn't get the service because the deal fell through.
How will you be able to pay the inspection that is scheduled by someone else? I'll assume that if you are the processing company and the pay at close option is chosen, you will get an email to alert or notify you that to pay us within the 1 to 2 business days, correct?
Correct. So one of the things that they're going to be doing in your ISN when you opt into this is creating some email events. And one of those email events automatically notifies us when there's been a pay at close inspection. It gives us just a few data points. It gives us the pay at close contract so that we can review and make sure that we have everything that we need. It gives us the closing date, the title company information, the email for the title company, the closing address, just enough information so that we can then bill the title company. And that's it.
Great. How does this impact automated emails and templates?
Yeah, there'll be a new email event in your ISN. Right now, you've got the email event that says client verification of inspection with payment and credit card, or with credit card payment link, with agreement and credit card payment link. Now it's going to be that same exact email event with credit card payment link and pay at close link. And so it's going to have an email event that goes out on whatever time schedule you've already dictated. Most of you are doing 2 hours after the inspection to send that email. They're going to get that email event and then they choose how they want to pay, credit card, pay at close.
In Mike's state, the attorney picks the title company. It's usually the same for each attorney, but you can accept their attorney's information for a pay at close transaction. Question. I'm not
As
sure.
long as
Maybe.
I mean, as long as we have the title company information, I don't know if that would make a difference. As if the attorney picked the title company and we have that title company's information, then we can bill the title company.
Cool.
Unless I misunderstood something there.
Manually, we would be reaching out to the attorney at that point because the attorney's information is what's listed. So we would get to the title company at that point. So it would be fine.
Yeah.
Cool. Allison, you've got from Greenworks, really good kind of product suggestion here. She wants to see the progress at the top of the OID saying paid agreement complete and they turn red or green. Just kind of cool to see the buttons if it's used, and I'll take note of this. What to do if, what if they do a re-inspection and they're paying at close for the original inspection?
They do a re-inspection on the same house. I'm assuming I guess the question would be, are we going to charge them twice? Or can we roll that both inspections into the same closing? My guess is that we would just charge them once. We're only collecting once. So we would, if there's a re-inspection at some point during the process, we're going to get notified that there's another inspection on the same property from the same client. And we would increase the amount that we're billing the title company.
I think that booking would need to happen all at one time. So if you created an inspection and a re-inspection and billed them for both inspections at one time, then it's going to go together. But outside of that, it would be a very manual process to say 2 separate inspections are being billed through one pay at close. So, I mean, there's definitely something we could do there, but that would be a very manual process. And our goal is to make this a very automated process.
Got it.
This obviously is going to be a product that grows and develops as we go. When we launch it, we'll do 90% of what everybody wants it to do. It's that last 10%, you know, the individual termite inspections. How do we handle that, or an attorney state? So there's going to be some exceptions where it may not work yet, but the goal is to get it to work with all of these.
Hey, so we do have some more questions. We are happy to stay and make sure that they get answered. If you have to drop, I know your time is valuable. Feel free. Again, we are going to send this webinar recording out to everybody that registered. So feel free to review it or contact Ben or Aaron or help at inspection support, and we can help you there too. But we'll keep flying. But if you have to drop, totally understand. In South Carolina, they don't use title companies. It's closed by an attorney. So that would be the point of the above question.
Yep, and we have one of our beta testers who's in South Carolina, so we're very aware of how it works there. And he sent us 6 pay at close inspections. And we've changed the language in his ISN. So instead of, you know, title company information, it says attorney, closing attorney information, so that people know what we're talking about when we send those out.
Awesome. Hey, good question here from Richard. Is our client's data shared with any third party outside of processing needs now or then?
No, so we're using this information solely to collect from your client. So we're not sharing any data. There's really nothing there to share, right? I mean, any information that we have other than just the credit card information would already be stuff that's in ISN. So there's nothing that we would have that anybody else would want or need that they don't already have.
Cool. What about pre-close inspections and the 11-month warranty inspection? Can both of those be paid at close?
If that's something that you're selling up front as part of the process, so any ancillary services that you're selling up front is going to be all part of the pay at close. So if you're selling radon and termite and mold and all of those other services as part of your inspection, and your total inspection bill is, you know, whatever, $1,000, they can choose to pay $75 to push all of that at closing. If it's something where a year from now you're billing them $75 for an annual inspection, then obviously not, because they've already closed on the house. But yeah, any ancillary services you have can be pushed.
Awesome. Dave Colsari is offering to be in the beta test. Thanks, Dave. Would team members of Guardian ISN or a third party be the ones making the follow-up calls when the payment is not received after 60 days? Good question, Chelsea.
Yep, it'll be Guardian. So that's where we come in, is we're going to be the ones that are following up. We're not sending this to a third party collection company or anything like that. So everything will be done internally. And obviously our goal is to provide a positive experience for your customer, because if you guys get complaints from your customers, then you're going to quit offering the product.
For sure. Okay, there's 2 more questions. And then if anybody has another question or wants discussion, you can raise your hand and I can unmute you if that's easier. David is asking, if he decides to offer this and charge $100, would that change the contract they're signing to 100? If not, their buyer or the client would know that they're making money off of this. And so that's right. Just like your ancillary services, whatever you decide is the fee, that's what's going to be shown as the pay at close transaction fee at $100. And then Brian has a good question here regarding the ISN stats and reporting. Will the $75 fee be included in gross year-to-date revenue and average inspection fee stats, or will the base inspection fee be the only revenue tracked?
I think the base inspection, because you're not getting any of that $75. Obviously, if you're charging more than the 75, then that's going to be included in your revenue and average inspection price. But the $75 would be excluded from that.
Awesome.
And on that same note, if we have any franchises out there, we will be building it so that your franchise, you're not paying your franchise fee as part of that $75. So if you've got a percentage that you're paying to a franchisor, that's not going to be, that'll be taken out of that won't be taken out of the $75. So you're not going to be paying a franchise fee on that $75 because that's not revenue that you're making.
Okay. There's 2 questions in here. Will this work for newly built homes where the closing is 6 to 8 months out?
So you're talking about like new construction inspections where you're doing an inspection, a phase inspection throughout the process.
Yep.
I don't know if that'll work, and we may be able to come up with a solution for that. later, but on the initial rollout, I doubt that this is going to work for that. I don't know that we're ready to stretch it out to 8 months for our collection process. But that's a great question, and we'll make a note
Yeah,
of that.
really good question.
See if there's a way that we can solve that.
Awesome. And Michael's area, it can take 2 to 3 weeks to find out who the title company is. So how will that work?
Obviously the most important thing that we need in order to feel comfortable is the credit card information. If we have a signature on the pay at close contract and a credit card, we're going to be trying to get that title information as quick as we can. But as long as we have that credit card on file, we should be okay to wait until we get the title information. Ben, do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, it would be the same. Yeah, I think we'd be okay as long as we have some kind of information. So it'll be moving through the process, but we would be, reaching out, trying to gather that title information.
Okay, well, we flew through all the questions. Those were great. Any last questions, thoughts, suggestions, problems that you might be seeing?
Any feedback that you guys have, please feel free. We'll have an email. I think Stacy's going to be sending an email out. We'll make sure that we have all of our contact information. We really, truly would love to have feedback. This product is new enough that now's the time. If you've got something that you really want to see it do, a lot easier to build it from the start than to try and add it later. So any feedback that you have, we'd love to have it so that we can include that in the initial rollout.
I wish we would have asked this in a poll, and I'm just curious. So if you wouldn't mind typing in the chat a Y for yes or an N for no, I'm curious to know how many inspectors plan to use this, plan to charge more than the $75 fee to use this as a little bit of a revenue driver. Maybe put, yep, no, kind of a mix. Yeah, okay.
Mostly yes.
A lot of yeses, unsure. Yeah, okay.
Hell yes. We would really, really love for this to be something that helps your business, helps you generate more revenue, helps your client, helps the agent, helps the title company. This has the ability to be truly one of those win-wins for everybody. And that's what we're trying to make happen.
Awesome. And hey, Carol, thanks for letting us know. Probably won't use the service. We'd love to just connect with you privately so we can understand. Your feedback is super valuable. And so if there's concerns or things that this doesn't solve for you, we'd be super interested in hearing from you if you're open to that. Awesome.
Hey.
Well, thank everybody thank you for your time. Again, we'll send out the recap. This will have a huge impact on the industry. People will start to demand it. That's what we hope, Mike.
And you guys really, because you're here, you're going to have first access to this product. And it can be something that sets you apart from your competitors in the area. We've seen this happen already with people who offer pay at close. They're doing it primarily because none of their competitors do it, and they get business because of that. There's agents who want it, and so they only send their inspections to that inspector. So take advantage of this to get in first and try and get some market share because of it.
Great. Well, thank you everyone for your time. We really appreciate the participation and the questions. Really super helpful for our team. So we look forward to following up with you. Hope you have a great rest of your week and a good weekend.
Thanks everybody.
Bye. IPO. I love that. All right. Take care, everybody. All right, everybody's just slowly saying goodbye. That's great. Erin and Carol said she is open to talking to you. So if you want me to send you her
Yeah,
name?
if you could send me your information, I'd love to reach out and
Yeah, let me just see.
get some feedback.
I gotta scroll up. Great. I'm going to end this since we're recording, and I'll hop on and talk to you here soon. Take care, everybody.
Thanks.
Bye.